Hi there. So, I have a question here that's, I think something that somebody must have asked at least once for AC2. You know what would happen if Leos ended up trying to get to the top of the arena again? As in, what if he ended up going and trying to fight Ares at the top there, and who would end up winning that kind of fight? Well, both of them are completely devoid of their back cannons for this, so I think it's reasonably fair. So first off, on the left here, we have the Providence, so Ares AC. This thing, at least the frame of it, needs a little bit of explaining. So first off, this core seemed to be the closest thing that I could get to that particular core. Unfortunately, it is unavailable in FF. So this, as far as a kind of decent high defense, well, reasonable defense, mid-weight OB core, this is what was available that would actually fit with this frame. He needed high AP, low-weight arms, so those are those ones. Those were the, I believe, the highest energy defense and AP, which matches the description from AC2. The legs are pretty much the same, and the head, well, I picked because it just looks exactly... Okay, it looks a lot like the one that he uses, except with the spike going forward instead of backward. Figured, you know what, if the rest of the build's going backwards, his spike can too. On the right, Sawa as always. On the left, the dagger blade instead of the moonlight, again for just more keeping his energy drain low, because my goodness, his drain was kind of a weird thing to balance out. Instead of his 4 missiles, he's got the 5 shots on the back, since, well, let's be honest, one of them's probably going to shoot straight into the ground anyway. I don't really know who designed the trajectory for those things. But yeah, he's got 5s instead of 4s. This was just slighter than the 3 small ones, for about the same type of damage if he's in the air, so again, all about actually balancing out his numbers. And then just like with Leos, he has the radar instead of his cannon. And there we go. Throat's getting a little bit funky there. So, let's see what happens. And then Leos, like I mentioned before, kind of a similar build. He has his split missiles on the back. Sawa uses the Elf 2 instead of the Moonlight. Both of them have Moonlight replacements that were just more fitting to their builds because they were pretty friggin' draining, so. Whole idea was to make use of the stuff they actually used more often. So, first one's a parking garage. I feel like this should go to the Providence. Who, by the way, has been programmed to just completely bum rush the other guy because he had the same AI glitch in AC2. Actually, you could just get him trapped on some maps and just get free hits on him. He liked to bum rush. Yeah, his heat is not fantastic, I will say that much. So the unfortunate thing there, pretty much trying to come up with a balance between his heat and energy was a bit of a pain, so he ends up cooling pretty quick, but he ends up building a lot of heat while flying around. He doesn't fly around too much, but you know, whenever he goes on longer bursts, it can be a bit of a problem. He keeps it just below overheating at all times, so no real worry about him burning most of the time anyway. So alright, looks like Leo's got him burning, he's, you know, right as I say that. So that slight bulk advantage isn't really doing him much good, but he's already back in the fight. Whoa. Okay, that was something. I don't know what that something was, but that's what it was. Okay, so Leos wins the first one. I suppose that makes sense. He probably could have climbed to the top if he wanted to, but probably just didn't feel like doing the paperwork. Alright, next up. I guess it kind of makes sense because really if they end up actually having to go to a particular place and he's off being a refugee and all that, he probably would have gotten ambushed at some point. That makes sense that he never would have gone to the arena. Not really refugee so much as outright terrorist, but whatever. You know. Stuff. By the way, I am in no way implying that those two are one and the same. There's a very big difference, and that often gets misunderstood, which is kind of sad because the different missions are entirely different. I should just shut up sometimes. Oh well. Yeah, as long as he doesn't burn, Ares should have the advantage here. Winning right now, as long as he keeps it to a gunfight, he's alright. And generally, Leos's build is a little bit better for this. Unfortunately, like I said, with the kinds of equipment that this guy ends up using, unless I switched him out for one of the basic cores, which would completely not match his build, he was super drainy, so he relies on OPI more than most. Unfortunately, some of them are just going to be that way. Okay, good to know that those missiles managed to hit everything but their target. Alright. He's eating slashes, but he's still going. Ooh, and he's even getting some good shots in, too. Good stuff, Ares. Why are you not slashing? You're like right there. Why would you go for a shot instead of a slash? Oh. Yeah, I'm just keeping his bars up just to take a look at how he's operating here. Nice. Okay. There we go. Providence wins one. A 1-1 so far. Okay. Yeah, I wish this guy's build wasn't so draining. Just striking a balance of it. I mean, I wasn't really going to go and spend more than an hour on making this guy over and over again. I was just going and swapping out different parts over and over and over, and this was about as operational as it got, so... It is what it is. I mean, the other options were to switch him for a lightweight core so he doesn't drain as much while moving around. He had an early problem with his passive energy drain from all his heavy weaponry and stuff. I mean, just the Sawa itself, without a decent frame, is kind of enough to suck a lot of life out of stuff. Ooh, that was some crazy lag. I don't know, overall I'm kind of happy with the fact that he's working at least. I mean, he's able to keep up. He's definitely able to keep up. He's at a minor disadvantage because of this whole constant recharging thing, but he's got the bulk to make up for it. Now, as far as why the AI decides that overboosting himself into death is the best way to do it, I don't know. He's got maxed out control and energy, so there's no reason for him to mentally do that. He's just being dumb. It's alright. 2 to Leos, 1 to Ares. I think Leos is currently the more or less arena head. I'm gonna have Leos fight Royal Mist. Yeah, I'm not really going to count the Tempest because that wasn't... I mean, that was specifically a, like, utter meta build in this game. I'd say, I think Leos has won the most fights so far. And I think Royal Mist showed that he could, but hasn't really been in that many of them. Although then he ended up losing the Silver Fox in the second one. There we go. Leos is gonna take it. Pretty much no coming back now. Oof. Yeah, if he dodged that and suddenly got a second burst and then a Sawa shot in, he probably could have pulled it around, but that would have been too much dodging for him to do. There you go. Leos would probably win it.